Welcome to the Global Focus Review channel. Imagine a scenario filled with malevolence and decadence, where humanity yearns to connect with angelic beings. Daughters find themselves conceiving children from their own fathers. Today, we will explore the narrative of Lot, a man whose decisions positioned him at the center of extraordinary events. Prepare to witness judgment and divine wrath, leading to the annihilation of a civilization. In light of this, I kindly ask for your support by liking and subscribing to the channel. I invite you to stay until the conclusion of this intriguing storyline. Why did Lot's daughters engage in such behavior with their father? The complete story of Lot in the Bible begins with the accounts recorded in the book of Genesis, starting from chapter 11. Lot's story, as a biblical figure, begins with uncertainty surrounding the origin and significance of his name. Some scholars propose that it may signify the notion of a covering veil, suggesting the importance of presenting oneself well before others. According to the Bible, after his father's death, Lot departed from Ur of the Chaldeans and journeyed to Haran, accompanied by his grandfather Terah, his uncle Abraham, and Sarai. When Abraham left Haran after Terah's death, Lot followed him to Canaan. During a severe famine in Canaan, Lot and Abraham went down to Egypt and settled there. However, due to deceit by the Pharaoh of Egypt, Abraham and Sarai were expelled, prompting Lot to return with them to Canaan. During this time, both Abraham and Lot experienced significant prosperity. Their flocks grew to the extent that the region could no longer accommodate both, leading to disputes between their shepherds. The contrast between Abraham and Lot in the biblical narrative is mainly evident in the fundamental choices they make when faced with opportunities and challenges during their journey. Abraham is characterized by his obedience and trust in God's promises, guiding his choices and serving as a notable example of someone who prioritizes divine will over earthly interests. It is crucial to remember the event of the three enigmatic visitors in Mamre. One day, Abraham sits at the entrance of his tent beneath the oak trees of Mamre when he suddenly notices three men before him. The intensity of the narrative suggests that these visitors possess an extraordinary nature, prompting Abraham to prostrate himself in reverence before them. In this moment, he displays remarkable hospitality, inviting them to rest while offering water to wash their feet and food to restore their strength. During this encounter, Abraham and Sarah receive surprising and transformative news. One of the visitors reveals that Sarah, though already old, will have a child at the same time next year. This divine promise aligns with an earlier one in which God had assured Abraham of numerous offspring, comparable to the stars in the sky. The story of the visit in Mamre not only highlights Abraham's exemplary hospitality, but also reveals the intimate and personal nature of the relationship between God and his faithful servant. On the contrary, Lot appears to be increasingly influenced by the temptations of the material world and enticed by seemingly prosperous opportunities. For these reasons, Abraham and Lot decided to part ways. At the time of separation, Abraham generously allowed Lot to choose the land he would occupy first. Abraham's decision to separate from Lot, seeking to preserve harmony and avoid conflicts, emphasizes the spiritual maturity of this patriarch who values peace and communion with God above material disputes. Lot chose the lush plains of the Jordan towards the Dead Sea near Sodom, drawn by the beauty and fertility of the region, allowing himself to be influenced by purely material considerations. This decision, though understandable from a human perspective, highlights Lot's vulnerability to the allurements of the world. In contrast to Abraham's spiritual steadfastness following the separation, Lot settled in Sodom, where he quickly became involved in local affairs and achieved a prominent social position. The Bible depicts the inhabitants of Sodom as extremely wicked, a troubling situation for Lot. In the New Testament, the Apostle Peter describes Lot's constant suffering, witnessing the evil that plagued the city where he resided. While Lot was in Sodom, a battle occurred in which the kings of Mesopotamia defeated the cities of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Zor. In this conflict, all of Sodom's possessions were plundered, and many inhabitants, including Lot, were captured. Upon learning of the incident, Abraham organized a rescue force that, in a nighttime battle, defeated the enemy army and recovered Lot's belongings. It was during this episode that Abraham encountered Melchizedek. Despite the war involving Sodom, Lot chose not to leave the city, and his story continues in the Bible. The narrative proceeds with the visitation of angels to Sodom, a city immersed in chaos and perversion. The divine presence in the corrupt city underscores God's concern for human wickedness, aligning with the message of Jeremiah, which emphasizes God's attention to the cry resulting from injustice. This situation resonates with the biblical message that God is vigilant and willing to act in the face of evil. The Lord declares his intention to investigate the sins of Sodom, revealing his justice and rejection of iniquity. However, faced with such disappointment, God decides to destroy the city. The narrative highlights the depravity of the inhabitants of Sodom, evident in how they received the angels of the Lord. The sinful behavior of the men in the city, desiring to engage in sexual relations with the angels, was one of the main reasons for the city's destruction. During this tumult, Lot attempted to calm the situation in a controversial manner by offering his daughters to the men of the city, reflecting his weakness and the harmful effects of the city on him. At this moment, the Bible delves into Abraham's courageous intercession before the Lord, revealing a genuine quest for understanding and divine justice. Aware of the imminent destruction of Sodom, Abraham dared to question God about the possibility of sparing the righteous along with the wicked. This bold exchange of words echoes the encouragement found in James 5:16, stressing the potency of a righteous person's prayer. The narrative progresses with the daring dialogue between Abraham and God, where Abraham challenges the notion of sparing the city due to the presence of the righteous. Psalm 86:15 encapsulates this sentiment by affirming the Lord's compassion, patience, love, and faithfulness, emphasizing God's receptiveness to his servants' pleas and his readiness to act compassionately in response to fervent prayers. The story not only showcases divine compassion, but also underscores the significance of persistence in the pursuit of justice and mercy. When God resolved to obliterate the cities, including Sodom and Gomorrah, the Bible recounts a pivotal event before the destruction: the rescue of Lot and his family by two angels dispatched by the Lord. This act of salvation was a manifestation of divine mercy and God's commitment to the covenant made with Abraham. Confronted with the insistence of Sodom's inhabitants to seize the angels, they were struck with blindness. The angels instructed Lot to flee with his family from the doomed city, but Lot hesitated, necessitating the angels to forcibly lead them out. During the escape, they were warned not to look back, but Lot's wife disobeyed and suffered the consequence of being turned into a pillar of salt. This drastic transformation serves as a poignant illustration of the repercussions of disregarding divine guidance. Lot. After leaving Sodom, Lot and his daughters sought refuge in a small city, retreating to a cave out of fear for their lives. This reluctance to fully trust in God's plan contrasts with Abraham's unwavering faith amidst uncertainty and challenges. Lot's choice to seek solace in a cave mirrors humanity's inclination towards isolation in times of adversity. The cave not only serves as a physical sanctuary, but also symbolizes emotional and spiritual seclusion, prompting reflection on how traumatic experiences can impact one's ability to engage fully in life and relationships. In this particular location, a dreadful incident occurred, causing Lot's daughters to become apprehensive about their safety. Concerned about preserving the family's lineage and feeling isolated without prospects of finding husbands, they devised a plan. At a certain juncture, Lot's daughters intoxicated their father, and driven by a lack of understanding of moral and ethical norms, each lay with Lot on successive nights, seeking to produce offspring from this incestuous union. From this union, Moab and Ben-Ammi were born, giving rise to the nations of the Moabites and Ammonites, respectively. These peoples later caused various problems for the Israelites throughout biblical history. The narrative about Lot in the Bible continues, highlighting his complex and controversial relationship with his daughters after the events in Sodom. However, after this point, Lot's story remains without further details. It is uncertain whether he managed to rebuild his life or if he ended his days in the cave in the mountains where the events with his daughters took place. It is important to note that the Apostle Peter mentions Lot in his second epistle, specifically in verses 7 and 8 of chapter 2. This passage is another reference to the episode of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. In the New Testament, Jesus also mentions Lot in the Gospel of Luke in an apocalyptic context, recalling the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot's salvation. This account serves as a reminder for the end times, emphasizing the importance of readiness and obedience to God. The biblical account shows that Lot had the opportunity to learn from Abraham, recognized as the father of faith. However, unlike his uncle, Lot did not follow the path of faith, choosing to be guided by his own perceptions and desires. This personal approach resulted in significant afflictions and left deep marks on his family. Lot's story serves as an example of the consequences of choices based more on personal views than on faith and divine guidance. There are valuable lessons for contemporary Christian life that emerge from this account. The narrative of Sodom and Gomorrah underscores the importance of making ethical decisions, even in the face of adverse cultural pressures. Paul, in his letter to the Romans, exhorts believers not to conform to the world's standards, but to be renewed by the transformation of the mind, as mentioned in Romans 12:2. This passage highlights the need for contemporary Christians to remain steadfast in their faith and moral values, regardless of external influences. May Lot's story be a source of inspiration for you. Share your thoughts in the comments and send this video to your friends and family. May God bless you. See you soon.